The grand chandelier of the La Palais ballroom shimmered like 1,000 stars, casting a golden glow over the sea of elegantly dressed guests. The orchestra played a slow waltz, filling the air with an air of romance and nostalgia. Among the swirling dancers stood Eleanor Carter, draped in a crimson gown, her heart pounding against her ribcage. Tonight was the night. She had spent months preparing for this moment, and yet, she wasn't sure she was ready. Across the room, Sebastian Hayes stood near the bar, his sharp grey eyes scanning the crowd. His dark suit fit him like a second skin, his presence as commanding as ever. Even after all these years, Eleanor's heart still skipped a beat at the sight of him. But tonight wasn't about love. It was about unfinished business. Eleanor and Sebastian had been inseparable once, a love story that felt like it had been written in the stars. They had met in this very ballroom 10 years ago, dancing under the same chandelier, dreaming of a future together. But dreams had a cruel way of shattering. One fateful night, Sebastian had disappeared without a word, leaving Eleanor with nothing but a broken heart and unanswered questions. She had spent years trying to forget him, trying to convince herself that he had been a mistake. But deep down, she knew better. And now, he was here. As if sensing her gaze, Sebastian turned. Their eyes locked across the room, and in that instant, it was as if time folded upon itself. He strode toward her with the same confidence he had always carried, stopping just inches away. "Eleanor," he murmured, his voice a blend of longing and regret. She inhaled sharply, refusing to let emotions take over. "Sebastian." His eyes flickered toward the dance floor. "Dance with me." She hesitated. She should refuse. She should walk away. But something in his voice, something desperate, held her in place. Finally, she placed her hand in his. The moment they stepped onto the floor, the world around them faded. They moved in perfect sync, as if no time had passed, as if they were still the same reckless lovers from years ago. But Eleanor knew better. She could feel it in the way Sebastian held her, in the way his fingers tightened around hers. Something was different. Something was wrong. As they danced, he leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "You need to leave." Her heart skipped a beat. "What?" He tightened his grip. "You shouldn't be here, Eleanor. It's not safe." A cold shiver ran down her spine. "Sebastian, what's going on?" He glanced around, his jaw clenched. "I can't explain now, but you have to trust me." Trust. That was a word she had long abandoned when it came to him. And yet, the urgency in his voice, the fear in his eyes, it wasn't fake. She barely had time to process when she noticed them, two men in dark suits standing near the entrance, their gazes locked onto Sebastian. "Eleanor," he whispered, his voice raw with emotion. "If anything happens to me tonight, I need you to know, I never stopped loving you." Her breath hitched. "Sebastian, what?" Suddenly, the music stopped. The air grew thick with tension. And then, a gunshot rang out. The ballroom erupted into chaos. Guests screamed. Glass shattered. Eleanor felt Sebastian pull her close, shielding her as the crowd panicked. "Run," he urged. But she wasn't leaving him. Not again. Instead, she pulled him toward a side exit. "Come with me." "No," he said firmly. "They want me. You need to get out of here." Tears stung her eyes. "Not without you." For a split second, something flashed in his gaze: regret, pain, love. Then, he pressed something into her palm, a small key. "Eleanor, listen to me," he said urgently. "Go to the old pier. Storage Unit 47. Everything you need to know is in there." Before she could protest, another shot rang out, and Sebastian staggered. "No!" she screamed, catching him as he collapsed. Blood stained his white shirt, and she pressed her hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "Stay with me," she begged. He lifted a trembling hand to her face, brushing a tear from her cheek. "One last dance," he whispered, his voice barely audible. And then, his hand fell limp. Days later, Eleanor found herself standing before Storage Unit 47, the key cold in her grasp. With a deep breath, she unlocked it. Inside, she found a folder filled with documents, photographs, and a letter. As she read Sebastian's words, the truth unraveled before her. Sebastian hadn't left her all those years ago, he had been forced into hiding. He had uncovered secrets that powerful people wanted buried. He had come back to warn her, to protect her. And now, he was gone. Tears blurred her vision, but she knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. She would finish what he started. She would uncover the truth. And she would make him pay. But first, she would have her revenge.